Hi, welcome. I'm Rebecca Skeele, and this is an author-led, study-guided book club on my book, Manifesting Your Sacred Ambition, Harnessing Vision and Power to Bring Your Sacred Calling to the World in Service to the Greater Good. And this is video number 4, and this is the second part of chapter 2. Boy. That's a lot to remember. If you've just found this book club and are jumping in on this video, welcome. I would suggest you go back and look at the other videos because there's a lot of information that's sort of led up to today's video. But if you just want to start here, that's fine. If you have a copy or ebook, you can go ahead and get it out. We're going to start on page, wait a minute, I have to look up my glasses, page 8. I'm going to be talking about the 3 phases of sacred callings. That's what chapter 2 is all about, sacred callings. In the first part of the chapter, I really talked about how sacred callings come forward, how they merge, and wanted you to spend some time really writing about and thinking and contemplating about your sacred calling and how it's emerged for you over your life. And today we're going to look at, there's 3 phases that I have identified as where you might be in your journey of bringing your sacred calling forward. And the reason I want to talk about this is because a lot of times when I talk about sacred callings to sacred ambitions, people just feel like, oh, well, she's not talking to me because I'm just now discovering I've even gotten one. Or she's not talking to me because I'm not even sure mine's for the world. You know, I think it's just for me. Or she's not talking to me because I'm down the road somewhere. So I want to say that, yeah, there are different phases to this journey. I know this, and I want to address them all. So you can find yourself in this and be assured and validated and recognized and hopefully recognize yourself on this journey and know, okay, this is where I am, and these could be some next steps for me, that kind of thing, okay? So on page 8, let's take a look at the 3 phases of sacred callings. And on your study guide, we're on question number 3, and it just says, which phase of sacred callings are you in? So the first phase is all about the emergent stage. When sacred callings are emerging, like those first green shoots of spring, you'll want to pay attention and move with care, that you honor the delicate nature of this time. It is important to ask yourself some big questions and answer them honestly. Am I holding myself back, and if so, how? Am I uncomfortable, and if so, with what? And am I masking a deeper fear? And then finally, what do I need to release to allow this sacred calling that has been singing in my heart for perhaps many years to come fully forward into manifestation? All of those questions are designed for you to recognize that what is coming forward is so precious, and the world so needs it. And so it's important that you treat it as such, so that it does not get discarded or minimized, or you don't play small for years, not wanting to really stand in it and say, this is what I'm doing in the world. And so many of us do that. So many of us are afraid. We're afraid to even talk about it. We don't want to be embarrassed. We don't want people to just sort of roll their eyes and go, oh my God, or whatever. We don't want to be rejected. We don't want to be shamed. And also, we also might have some past, let's just say, memories of times when we stood for something and it didn't work out so well. And this can be very common when we're bringing forth sacred callings. It's kind of like, no, I'm not going to do this. This was not safe before. It's not going to be safe now. And that's not true. We live in a time that we were designed to do this, and we were born for this time. And the only danger that you feel about this is actually inside. So a lot of these questions are designed for you to take a look at you inside. And what is the inner work you need to do at this time? That's really the next step if you're in an emergent stage. Is there is inner work to do, and all of us have to do it. We have clutter, we have stuff in the way, we have old beliefs, we have judgments, we have shame, we have blame, we have memories, we have hurt feelings, we have disappointments. All of that is what I call the clutter. And it's cluttered up that pure essence of who you are. That is what sacred callings are all about. So that is really one of the first steps that we do when sacred callings start to emerge. And that step gets done over and over and over again. So I want to say that just because you're doing that step doesn't mean that you are necessarily, in kindergarten. You might be further along, and yet you're finding yourself at a new stage in your sacred calling, and you're going, you know what, I've got more work to do. And one of the things that we do in the event in August is really take a look at what it takes to clear the clutter. And there are wonderful programs out there. I'm sure maybe you know of one, or maybe you've done your inner work. But I want to say that what it really takes is for you to master yourself in a loving, compassionate way, so that everything that you are, what you consider the good, the bad, and the ugly, to just coin a phrase here, is part of you bringing forward your sacred calling. I said in an earlier video, nothing needs to be discarded. We just clear out who you are not along the way. So this is a really important part of the emergent phase. And I say down here at the bottom of page 8, you could find it helpful too. And these are some of the steps that you could take. Clear your old stuff, clear the clutter around ambition and power, including the fear that you are not safe. And I talk a lot about ambition and power in a little later chapter, but I want to say that this is big. This is big stuff. Realigning the ambition, realigning the true power to what is sacred inside of you. And you can do this. And that's what this process, this book, is all about. Here's another suggestion for a step. Reconnect to your natural innate essence and blessing. Sacred ambitions are seated in the essence of who you are. And the essence is not anything to do with the doing of you. It's everything to do with the being of you. Breathing in and breathing out. What is present? That's your essence. And then trust more and create a thriving inner connection to your divine guidance that is supporting you. Sacred callings come with divine guidance. Did you know that? Did you know that you have a guide inside of you? Do you know that guide unconditionally loves you and knows how the path is laid out for you? And that divine guidance and trusting in that has everything to do with finding people out here in the world that you can also trust, that also can reflect back to you. Be your support, be your validation, be your witness, be the person that goes, yeah, go for this, because they're going for it too. Sacred callings are not about any kind of competition in any way. They are all about collaboration and cooperation and co-creation. And this is how they come forward. So trusting is big in bringing a sacred calling forward. Okay, I said a few more things about the emergent stage, but that's one stage that you might be in. Let's talk about another stage. You hold for others. That's the way I'll put it. A good question to ask yourself at this time, is your sacred calling for the world or not? Not all sacred callings are. Some are for you. You want to live your best life. You want to be the best friend or mate or parent. You want to contribute to your community in a behind-the-scenes way, supporting those that feel called out on the front line, holding a strong energy and a clear energy of loving, of compassion, of integrity, of honesty, Or balance is a wonderful contribution to the greater good. Not all of us want to put a stake in the ground for new paradigms or change. Your gifts may simply be, and perhaps, or you, no, I say, your gifts may be simpler perhaps, but no less needed. And I really want to emphasize this. I've had so many people come to my event in August, and they just want to bring themselves forward in a greater way in their life. They want to have more talent, more vitality, more joy, more energy, more loving. They want to be a better parent. They want to contribute behind the scenes. They want to make sure certain things get done. They see somebody out there and they go, yeah, I really want to help that person or this cause or whatever. And they work in the background and they hold the energy and the vibration that's so needed at this time. And this is a huge contribution to sacred callings in the greater good. Huge. It's like the battery. I don't know if you've ever been a battery before, holding for someone. It's quite an extraordinary experience. I've done this many, many times. I'm not always the one out in front of the camera. I have done many years of battery being, I guess that's the way to put it, of really holding a higher consciousness, a light focus, a loving focus in all kinds of situations, from friends that were going through hard times to people that were dying, to family members, to the world, to a certain situation or circumstance in the world. And this is a huge contribution of the sacred calling to a greater good. So one of the things you can ask yourself is my sacred calling for the world? And I have some suggestions here on page 9. Seek out so this is what I say here. I forgot I said this. Make sure that you're honest with yourself, because sometimes we're fooling ourselves. Sometimes we're saying, oh, well, I'm just going to be a battery. And we're really hiding. So it's only for you to say. It's not for me to say. So I want to say that if you're not sure, if you're saying, well, actually, I was a battery in my life. I did hold great energy, but now it might be time for me to really bring this out, right? So here's some suggestions. Seek out courses and experiences that will strengthen your inner embodiment of purpose, authenticity, presence, loving, compassion, and wholeness. That's a suggestion. Here's another one. Establish a strong inner connection to divine guidance and the source of spiritual nourishment. There it is again. You're going to see this in all 3 phases that I talk about, that connection to divine guidance, that inner connection. Reconnect to the blessing of who you are and awaken your heart to your truth. In the first emergent stage, I talked about essence. In this one, I talked about blessing. What is your blessing? When you walk in the room, what is your blessing to give? That a lot of times is the sacred calling of who we are. And we do it automatically. You've been doing it all your life, your blessing. So perhaps it's time now to bring it out in a bigger way. And again, this is for you to decide. Okay, so that's the second phase I want to talk about in sacred calling. Now let's go to the third phase. And here I call it, you are on your way. When you have decided that your sacred calling is indeed for the world, off you go. What would support you at this time to create that thriving sacred ambition business or social initiative that your heart is calling you to do? Or if you already have put your business or your initiative in a place, what would it take to take it to the next level? So, for many of us, we want to bring it out and we want to do something with it. We want to start a business. We want to open a storefront. We want to start a social initiative. We want to start a nonprofit, whatever it is. And we want to use our ambition in alignment with our sacred calling to do well in the world. In other words, we want to make money. We want to thrive. We want to be able to do more so we can do better. Or we can do well so we can do better. You know, one of the things about being able to do well financially in our life with what is our sacred calling is we can turn around and we can help others, can't we? We can give back, can't we? We can serve in a bigger way. Yes. This is part of sacred callings. Sacred callings and sacred ambitions are not about fringe businesses. They are very much about Main Street. And this is one of my battle cries, if you will, in this new meme, this new movement of sacred ambitions, is that I want us to stop marginalizing what we're doing. I want us to bring that into Main Street and know that we can thrive financially as well as spiritually and as well as serving the greater good. All of this is possible. So if you feel like you're on your way, here are some suggestions to take you to the next level, because we're always going to our next level. The first thing is to become comfortable with uncertainty and to embrace the unknown. A lot of times we are rocking along really well and we're just thinking, hey, this is working, and then bam, we hit a wall. And the wall has something to do with fear, because something has been kicked up inside of us that we're going into something that feels unknown to us. And so we back down and shut down, and then, you know, that sacred calling, sacred ambition energy begins to kind of drain out the bottom, and we're wondering, what is going on here? So just be aware of that. Cultivate a thriving interconnection conversation with your divine guidance and source. Here we are again. Trust more. You know, that ability to tap into divine source, divine guidance, whatever you call that, whatever name you put on it, is essential. This is your co-pilot through most all of what you're going to be bringing forward, because this is where it's coming from. This is your download, and you want to make sure that all of those channels are open. And one of the things that happens is that if we start not to trust, we shut down those channels, and then we don't receive the guidance, or we receive it and we say no. And you know, divine guidance, after a while, if it's ignored or we say no to it, it'll start being quiet, because it will not inflict itself. And so if we've opened up and said, okay, I'm ready for divine guidance, and then after a while we go, this is too uncomfortable for me, it'll say, okay, and back off. Choose yourself over your story. Clear any past beliefs, limitations, fears, or family conditioning about who you are, and sharing your gifts and talents in the world. And boy, this is a big one. Choose yourself over your story. Again, we start bringing sacred callings out, sacred ambitions. We feel supported, we feel validated by ourselves, by those around us, that we, you know, are saying, yes, this is who you are, go for it. And our story stops us in some way, some limiting belief from the past, some way that we were raised, some past conditioning, some ancient fear bubbles up, and we just go, I don't think so. And we back down. And again, this is a killer of sacred callings. And so, inner work. We must choose ourselves over our story. And this is a really important part of the inner work that we do as we're going along on this journey of bringing our sacred ambition out. So, that's my 3 phases of sacred callings. Now, I said maybe I didn't say it on this video, but I've said on several other videos that if you want the ebook and you enter your name and email, you get the ebook, you get the study guide, and there were bonuses along the way. Well, one of the bonuses is a link to my Sacred Ambition assessment. I've actually created a very short 20-question assessment so you can take the assessment and find out which phase you're in. Now, maybe me reading this, you just go, that's the phase I'm in. But maybe if you took the assessment, you might find something new. And the questions, I have to say, are they're good questions to be able to ask yourself. And in this assessment, I have more to say about the different phases, and I also have more suggestions. So that's one of the bonuses that you get if you want to download the ebook. And I just want to go over these 2 questions again in the chapter 2. What phase of the sacred callings are you in, and what's a good next step for you? So I hope you spend some time deciding where you are, and also thinking about, this is my next best step. This small step. And I want to say that this is a lot what we talk about at the event in our Sacred Ambition mentorship, is that you want to take small steps, but you want to take them in a big way. So that's the end of this video and this part of the chapter, and next time we will complete chapter 2. Bye for now.